We'll call the meeting to order. I invite you to join us with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Kolpak? Here. Pepcorn? Here. Strand?
Here.
Turnberg?
Here.
Mahoney?
Here. We came out of executive session, and I have two motions. Motion one, I move to approve the City of Fargo opting into a settlement agreement regarding opioid litigation with Purdue Pharma and the Sackler family, and authorize the City Attorney's Office and Mayor to complete any necessary forms and paperwork to complete the settlement process. Do I have a motion? Move. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Strand?
Yes.
Kolpak? Aye. Pepcorn? Aye. Turnberg?
Aye.
Mahoney?
Aye. Motion two, I move to approve the City of Fargo opting into a settlement agreement regarding opioid litigation with Avogen, Amnion, Apotex, Hikma, Individuor, Mylan, Sun, Zydus, and authorize the City Attorney's Office and Mayor to complete any necessary forms and paperwork to complete the settlement process. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Roll call vote again.
Strand?
Yes.
Pepcorn? Aye. Kolpak? Aye. Turnberg?
Aye.
Mahoney?
Aye. Tonight, we'll be showing a video featuring first responder training held earlier this summer in Fargo. Participants included the Fargo Police Department, Fargo, West Fargo, and Moorhead Fire Departments, Cass County Sheriff's Department, Red River Regional Dispatch Center, Sanford Ambulance, Simulation in Motion, North Dakota, as well as Fargo and West Fargo Emergency Management. The training exercises were designed to be realistic scenario to practice security, sheltering, and evacuation plans.
ASHER stands for Active Shooter Hostile Environment Response. The purpose of our training is for a quick response and a coordinated response. We want to work with all agencies to quickly and efficiently extricate patients from the building. Training is always important to prepare yourself for any type of incident. We've seen an uptick in violent crimes over the last decade, and we just want to make sure as a community we are prepared if something were to happen in the city of Fargo, Moorhead, or West Fargo. The scenarios that we train for, we hope they never happen, whether that be fires, active shooter, car accidents, but we have to be prepared for all those types of situations. Hands-on training is always vital to our response. By doing hands-on training, we're able to be better prepared. We want to get those mental reps in. We want to be able to have hands-on training. When your stress level goes up, you revert back to your training. And so if we can do hands-on training, it better prepares us for scenarios. We had an opportunity to get in the schools this year, and we wanted to jump at that opportunity. As it's a great building, it presents a lot of challenges for us as far as corridors that intersect. It's not just a linear building. This is a large area that we have to get through. We like to put our people into positions that they really have challenging thought processes. We want them to have to process a lot of information. A large building grants them that opportunity to have to make different decisions based on a whole bunch of stimulus that come at them. We all have very similar missions, but everybody has a different way of going about it. So by having us train all together, we learn more about how each agency operates and allows us to operate efficiently as a whole. This training is absolutely vital to have all these agencies come together. Communication is always a challenge, whether it's just in one agency or over multi-agencies. We definitely see more of a communication challenge when we work with numerous agencies. Everybody has different language they use, they have different expectations. You know, it's amazing how far we've evolved in the last 10 years with this. When we look at it, we're constantly evolving. We are not a finished product. Every year, it's an opportunity for us in training to see how we operate as agencies together. We identify the areas that we need to work on, and through the winter months, we usually work on those weaknesses, and next year we come back and we do it again. So it's an annual thing that we will continue to improve and continue to evolve.
Very well. Is there a motion to approve the ordinary agenda, moving items 25 and 31 from the consent agenda to the regular agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the August 4th, 2025 regular meeting?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Is there a motion to approve consent agenda items 1 through 35, moving 25 and 31 from it?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Strand?
Yes.
Colpack? Aye. Pepcorn?
Aye.
Turnberg?
Aye.
Mahoney?
Aye. First agenda is a presentation of the 2025 accreditation renewal for the Fargo Fire Department. Our new fire chief, Gary Lorenz, is here, and I guess we brought their old chief around too. Is that Dirksen there? Gary, do you want to explain this, or should we have the old chief explain it?
I'll start out and then we'll let him take over. What this is the fire department's fourth accreditation. The first one occurred back in 2010, and then every 5 years after that, there's a re-accreditation. Not necessarily a re-accreditation, but a re-accrediting again, I guess is what we call it. And so this last 5 years, we have Craig Nelson, Division. There we go. So with me, I have Division Chief Craig Nelson, who is the accreditation manager for this last cycle. It's quite a task. It's a lot of work for the department, and it has been institutionalized into the organization, meaning we try and incorporate from the bottom up into it to try and help with 250 plus performance indicators and all the things that have to go to the accreditation cycle. And through this last process, former Chief Steve Dirksen was also a board member on the Commission for Fire Accreditation International, representing communities over 100,000. And so it was, this being his last time on the board accrediting, he was actually on the panel hearing. I will say, being there, he recused himself from the vote, but as one of the board members for the Commission on Fire Accreditation, he offered to come up here, and we gratefully accepted his offer to present this last accreditation here in front of the commission in the city of Fargo. So.
Yeah, Mayor, your fire department now is one of 336 fire departments across the world that are accredited. And so there's 336 that are accredited. 127 of them are in ISO 1, of which Fargo is one of those. Accreditation and ISO really don't have anything really to do with each other than they really help each other. They help the fire department determine what its data says and how to use it, and that's how Fargo was able to move from an ISO class 3 to a 2 to a 1. And so just this information and the dedication that the city and the community invests in accreditation on every 5-year basis. And it's every year, because it's not a project, it's a process. And it has to be in order for it to work for the organization, for a community. So for me, I want to say thank you for the opportunity that the city granted me to serve for 9 years on the Commission for Fire Accreditation International. I've got to do this from Miami-Dade to North Carolina to Kansas City to Denver, present these at city commission meetings, city council meetings, to fire departments. And I couldn't think of a more fitting way to end my term on the commission is to present here at the Fargo Fire Department. And I really look forward to watching what happens 5 years from now when Fargo comes up for accreditation for the 5th time and becoming a legacy agency within the Commission on Fire Accreditation. Not very many agencies have hit that. I think there's less than 30 right now that are at that point. So it'll be a big milestone for the city to be at that point. So with that, I want to say congratulations to the city of Fargo. Thank you for being part of the Commission on the Center for Public Safety Excellence and the Commission on Fire Accreditation. And I'd like to present you with your plaque.
I can know is that this has quick response time to get out there when the fires are starting. We have a better system. We go after anything that happens in the community, and for the homeowner, their homeowner's insurance goes down because we have the highest rated fire protection in the community. So congratulations, and Chief, you look too healthy for a guy who's retired. Item 37, recommendations for amendments to the Home Rule Charter and the Fargo Municipal Code to comply with changes in state law. Assistant Attorney Ian McLean to explain.
I'll be joined by Steve Sprague here as well. So we want to go through a couple legislative changes that will affect our home rule charter and in our ordinances in the city of Fargo. So the first one is House Bill 1297. So this bans cities from using approval voting or ranked choice voting. So the city of Fargo has used approval voting in the 2020, 2022, and 2024 elections. It was approved by our voters in 2019. But as you can see, House Bill 1297 said approval voting or ranked choice voting may not be used in any election to elect or nominate a candidate for any local, state, or federal elective office, which would include our mayor race and our city commission race, which is where we use approval voting. So moving forward, Fargo is no longer allowed to use approval voting. We'll get into the mythology it will use, but no surprise, you can vote for as many seats as open. For the mayor, there'll be one seat open. You can vote for one person. For city commission, there will be 2 seats open. You can vote for up to 2 people. House Bill 1307 goes a lot further than 1297. So we have a home rule charter, and our home rule powers come from a state ordinances. But before August 1st, 2025, that ordinance said that the city had the power to provide for all matters pertaining to city elections except as to the qualifications of electors. So all powers except for one is what the city of Fargo had. Now we're sort of doing the reverse. You can see what HB 1307 does. Now it's to provide for all matters pertaining to a single subject, which is the signature threshold for nominating petitions for candidates for city offices. But that does affect the city of Fargo. So right now, if you're running for city commission or the mayor, you had the choice of either paying $100 or getting 300 signatures. And as I understand, almost everybody does the $100. Moving forward, so for next year's election, you have to have a petition signed by 300 people in the city of Fargo. So you can no longer pay $100. So these are the 3 primary effects as it affects Fargo from HB 1297 and 1307. 1, approval voting is gone, so for mayor it's 1 vote. For city commission, you'll have 2 votes. You can no longer pay the $100 in lieu of providing a nominating petition. And you must reside in Fargo 9 months prior to the election now. Previously, it was 6 months prior to your nominating papers. That's probably not much of a difference because 6 months prior to your nominating papers probably was close to 9 months before the election. But if you want to run in next year's race, you gotta be a resident of Fargo 9 months prior. So prior to this legislative session, the city commission would not have the power to amend our home rule charter. Instead, we would just have a home rule charter which had provisions that would be void and we couldn't use them. House Bill 2324 provides the city commission, we can pass resolutions now with the specific purpose of basically getting rid of language in our home rule charter that's preempted, superseded, or invalidated or void. So really what we're trying to do here is just clean up our home rule charter to take out approval voting and also to clean up our ordinances so that you can no longer pay $100 and that you have to live in the city of Fargo 9 months prior to the election. So we have 2 motions in front of you tonight. One is for the resolution. So this deals with the home rule charter. So these will take effect immediately. Let's switch to motion 2 quick. And motion 2 deals with ordinances. So this is actually just receive and file. We'll have it twice more on for city commission. You'll see the first ordinance talks about relating to the date of the city elections. We're not changing the date. It's still the 2nd Tuesday in June. It's just that state law specifically says it's the 2nd Tuesday in June, and our city ordinance says it's based on the primary date of the state elections, which is also the 2nd Tuesday in June. But in case it ever switches, we want it to specifically say 2nd Tuesday in June. So that's what we're doing on motion 2. So we're looking for, we're happy to answer any questions, but if there's no questions, we'd ask for a
Any
motion.
questions by the commission? Let's go to motion 1. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Kolpak? Aye. Turnberg?
Aye.
Pepcorn? Aye. Strand? Mahoney?
Aye. Do I have a motion, motion 2?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Kolpak? Aye. Turnberg?
Aye.
Pepcorn? Aye. Strand? Mahoney?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 38, recommendation or approval of the Second Amendment for Developer Agreement in Grove Enclave. Jim Gilmore to explain.
Thank you, Commissioners. This is a request to amend a development agreement we've had for the redevelopment of the Kmart site, or former Kmart site on South University. About a year ago, there was a first amendment that gave them 1 additional year to complete the project. At that point, they had not done the 2 kind of smaller buildings towards the front, and we gave them an extra year to do that. They have completed 1 of those buildings, and are continuing to work on a second one. At this point, the Economic Development Incentive Committee is recommending we just simply amend the agreement and consider 1 building sufficient. Overall, they've built more on this project than was required. They were required to build 20,000 square feet. They've actually built 30,000 square feet. And so the developers certainly to their benefit to get the other site done. I know they're in negotiations with 1 business, and so hopefully that'll come together. But just with the economy and the demand for retail space, it's taken them longer than they would have wished. The developer benefits more square footage that goes in. And the city benefits too. We can simply close this project out and begin at 15-year terms rather than, continuing this to be open another year and waiting to start that 15-year TIF term. So, recommendation of the Economic Development Committee is to approve the second amendment that would simply require just 1 building out front of that strip mall rather than 2.
Do you have a motion? That's a move. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion, Commissioner Strand?
Thank you. Jim, I'm just curious, what were, at the committee discussion level, were there any cons to doing this?
I don't really see any cons. I mean, in desperation, they could probably throw up a little shack and call that compliance, but rather than have them kind of play that kind of game, I'd like to see them continue to try to bring in, a nice established building and business on the site. So there's really no cons to doing this.
And are there any openings we create by approving something that wasn't what we approved necessarily in far as future projects where they change what we're looking at seeing?
I mean, I think the projects generally change. Generally, what we've seen is that people kind of under-promise and over-deliver. We've had the other case where Roars simply, where there were townhomes that really were a benefit to the neighborhood. Having 1 more small business in front of this isn't a huge benefit for the community or some detriment that if it's not there. So a little different with this case.
You've had trouble filling the space, economic downturn. Jim, did I see Randy's is moving over into the buildings now?
Yeah, Randy's is moving into the building. They have about, of the 30,000 square feet, they now have 9,000 square feet leased, and so Randy's is moving over, and another business is moving in, is being built out soon. I don't recall the name of that one.
I think this developer's been honest with us, the difficulties they've had. Mr. Pipcorn, did they just talk to you at the economic meeting?
No, we're good.
Mr. Strand?
Remind me, Jim, when bless you, Brenda. It's nothing to sneeze at. When this started, was this a competitive bidding process for that location for other bidders to develop there conceivably?
I mean, the city didn't in any way own this site. It was owned by a group that had long held the Kmart building. They teamed with Enclave to develop this site. One of the things we worked with the developer early on was to get some affordable housing into that, and so that they did deliver on. There's almost 40 units of affordable housing. They'd hoped to have a second unit. That financing for that fell through, but Beyond Shelter did put their office building on that site. There's a car wash on the site, and there's 1 other commercial lot for sale. So in the long term, it was an overall benefit for the community. We looked at the developer was looking at a couple different options. One was a real basic development that wouldn't have added much value. The other was a much larger development, but would require greater incentives than we really could have been able to provide. So this was sort of a nice medium between those 2.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Pepcorn? Kolpak? Aye. Strand?
No.
Turnberg?
Aye.
Mahoney?
Aye. Item 39, recommendation to adopt policy that requires business operations to begin or construction to start within 3 years of city commission granting property tax exemption. Jim Gilmore.
When the city provides a new industry exemption or a payment in lieu of taxes, we really haven't had a deadline to get started. Most businesses are anxious and they get going right away, and it hasn't been an issue. But with the weaker economy, we do have a business that was granted an exemption last year, and they're wondering, do I need to reapply? Nothing's really changed. They're just being delayed for a year. We have another housing project beyond shelter. It'd be a low-income housing project. It was key on getting some tax credits from the state last winter. They did not get those. They want to reapply. And so rather than run them through the process again, we felt that we should give them a reasonable period of time, that being 3 years, to get going. We've had some where they don't get started for 5 years, and the assessor's office and myself are wondering, is that project dead, or are they going to come back in 5 years and expect the exemption? And so we felt it would be good to give them a firm deadline. It seemed like after 3 years, enough has changed that they should have to come back and reapply. So again, I think both the assessor's office and myself would prefer a hard deadline, and the committee, and so we've suggested that 3 years would be sufficient time to get all your financing in place, even for a low-income housing project, and get started. It doesn't mean you can't come back and reapply, but this way the assessors don't have to wonder if a 5-year-old project is dead, or if it's going to come back and try to ask for an exemption 5 years later. So the Economic Development Committee recommends this motion to establish that there be 3 years to start a project.
Do I have a motion?
That's a move.
Second.
Second.
This is really to clean up some stuff, is get people going. If they're going to develop it. If they're not, don't do it. And I think it's good to have a time frame. I think Commissioner Strand, we talked about that. One of the developments we had that was before us before is if you're going to start, let's get going. And I think a 3-year window is enough for people to get going. Any other discussion? Mr. Strand?
Thank you. Jim, I'm just curious if, and sometimes people are getting incentives and sometimes they're getting properties from the city and so on, but what about lost opportunities? If we have a developer, a commitment that's made, and we lose 3 years, we've lost the moment to get somebody else to do that, maybe. That's a lost opportunity. Is there any valuing if a project falls through and there isn't a project and somebody else could have maybe done it in theory, but we didn't even have a chance to?
Usually if a site's vacant for a longer period of time, someone else, the property owner may move on and offer it for sale to someone else. So it's unlikely someone's, holding a project for 3 years. But, in the case of a low-income housing project, they just often take time to put together, very competitive at the state level. And so sometimes it's not unusual to see someone apply 3 times before they finally are selected.
And the low-income housing, I understand, but if it's a private market rate developer, they should have, that window's different than, I think.
I think they still intend to go ahead. It's still going to create jobs, and it's just that maybe the interest rates are too high, or they found the construction, costs were too high this year, and they need another year to work on it. So it's not unusual to see it get delayed a year or two, but if it's too long, then I would agree that it's time to kind of move on and take a fresh look at it if you're going to have another application.
And I'll wrap it up here, but I think at some point we need to look at, like we have look-backs, clawbacks, we need to at some point have a protection for the entity of the city if a project that we're expecting doesn't happen and there's lost opportunity for others. That's my concern.
I think that's very important when it's a city-owned property.
Exactly.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Kolpak? Aye. Strand?
No.
Turnberg?
Aye.
Mahoney?
Aye. Recommendation to approve core neighborhood housing payment in lieu of taxes guidelines. Jim Gilmore to explain.
Currently, we've had a policy that encourages pretty much just small apartment buildings in older neighborhoods. And the policy was to provide a 5-year, basically a 10-year property tax exemption with the first 5 years at 100% and the second 5 years at 50%. The assessor's office has found this more difficult to track because if you're changing the percentage of exemptions each year, they have to track it manually. And so what they suggested was, can't we just, have an on and an off that's easier for us to track? And so we looked at what the present value of, the 5 plus 5, and really if you give 100% exemption for 7 years rather than 5 at 100 and 5 at 50, it's about the same. And when I say about the same, actually it's a little bit less valuable in the short term by a couple percentage points. And so that's one of the reasons for the change and the shift to 7 years. The other changes are is with these small projects, we really wanted to document extraordinary costs, and that becomes kind of cumbersome for myself and the planning department on a very small project. And so really the most important thing is, do they need the incentive or don't they? And do they meet that financial test where it won't happen if we don't give the incentive? So I removed a lot of the language on the, that test for, do they actually have extraordinary costs? We see that there are some, usually it's a deteriorated site, but to actually do all the accounting and keep track of it when we're dealing with housing units that have really varied from 6 to 18 units, we're not dealing with large projects. I think if there are still large projects, we'd still use the TIF process where we would document all those costs. So the recommendation would be to change this policy. We have one application kind of pending right now that would go either way, and it kind of works either way for them. Again, it's actually a little easier to operate, but it's slightly less valuable to them to have the 7 years at 100%. But I think that'll work out, and I think their committee felt this would kind of simplify that process. I included a couple other policies in there on low-income housing and downtown. You'll see those are much shorter and simpler to understand than this core neighborhood process was. So, be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Do you have a motion?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Commissioner Strand?
Thank you. Why don't we do this across the city for all developers?
I guess for if it's new development, there, it's just the market needs to drive it. These are in our core neighborhoods where we're trying to encourage that infill. If we're doing it on the edge, then we're just giving the same incentive to encourage, growth on the edge that where the incentive really isn't needed. So
They would have to meet the but-for test, Commissioner Strand. So basically, part of the pilot is, do they need it? If they don't need it, we wouldn't give it to them. So oftentimes, new development wouldn't get a pilot, but it'd be more of the core neighborhood that we get it.
I just know while I'm up here talking about this, we'd hope to have a report on the jobs created, because we've documented who's reported and who hasn't and how well we're doing. So we'll hopefully have that at the next meeting. The EDC wasn't quite ready for that, but I want you to know that that's still in the works.
Here's where I'm at. I think, and you've all heard me say this before, but we need to have an overall comprehensive conversation on tax incentives, especially in light of legislation that's come our way with caps. And I'm just really cautious right now. I know over the years past, I've been one of the ones supporting tax incentives, but I'm hesitant now because I'm not so sure it's the same situation it has been, and I'm not so sure it'll pan out for the taxpayers yet. And I need that assurance, that it's a smart, wise, prudent decision fiduciarily from our perspective to incent people and then delay the revenues coming to us. So I'm really of the mindset right now that we have a new commissioner, and we haven't yet convened to talk about tax incentives with our new commissioner, which we usually do. So I'm hesitant to vote for any changes or modifications or new incentives right now till at least I've landed on a place where I'm comfortable, and that we're all aware that what we're doing fits what the state has sent our way with regards to taxation caps.
And I think we did report to either you or the finance, you're acting as a finance committee on kind of the results of all the incentives and seeing how well, those are working. And I think for a lot of these incentives, we're really not giving up anything. We're just getting future revenue that we wouldn't otherwise have, because if we don't do anything, we don't get revenue for 5 years. If we give a 5-year incentive, we get revenue after 5 years. So that short term is the same.
Basically, Commissioner Strand's concerns, these are the recommendations came out and redo the policy. And the question, the EDC meeting, basically, Commissioner Pipcorn, you guys looked at the policies, and these are the recommendations to make it better. But I'll have Jim forward you the report he gave. It was a very good report on the use of our incentives. Seems to work very well. I think, Commissioner Pipcorn, you saw a huge rise in values of the property and a huge rise in the amount of taxable income that comes to the city. So it appears that our policies are working, even in light of the 3% tax cap. We're still getting properties that are coming forward and increase the tax revenue to the city. So maybe, Jim, you could forward that report that you gave for the EDC.
I'll do that again, and, this year that 3% cap doesn't apply to expiring TIF districts. So, the Horse Park TIF ended, and so that gave us additional property tax revenue that we wouldn't otherwise had, as did the second phase of Bison Block. Again, more tax revenue that the city can apply as if it was new growth.
Mr. Strand.
Here's where I'm at again. We've, downtown, we've had lots of discussions about the dynamics of the successes of downtown. Part of our challenges downtown is, we've had this success, that success, that success, and that success, but there's a 5, 10, 15, 20, 25-year delay of revenues coming to us to pay for the expenses affiliated with growing your downtown. That's my concern. Is there's a lag of the revenues coming to us, and I'm not so sure that path is viable or right now. I just don't know. So we've had lots of successes, but then we're gap filling the needs that come with growth, and the tax revenues don't come to 5 years or later.
Yeah,
That's my concern.
Yeah. And perhaps we could have this discussion at one of your upcoming finance committee meetings.
Or a combined group meeting with the incentive committee to work through every single incentive that we have.
You're welcome to do that, Commissioner Strand.
I would welcome
We
it.
could go through that, and the issue is a large city bias with 20% growth in 10 years. We have a lot of different developments that have happened, and things that Jim started years ago, or with the economic team it did years ago, are now paying off. So it's a cycle. Basically, we didn't just do it 1 year. We've done it for 20, 30 years. So all of those things are cycling. So I have a motion and a second. No any more discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Kolpak? Aye. Strand?
No.
Turnberg?
Aye.
Mahoney?
Aye. You have our recommendations for Planning Commission. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Commissioner Strand?
Is Scott Stoffern only going to do one of his? Is that how I read this?
Commissioner Pipcorn, do you know, or does Nicole know?
She's nodding yes.
That's what I took off of.
But they're 3-year terms, are they?
Yeah, it is a 3-year term.
Yes, they are 3-year terms, but at this point, we're asking for Scott just for 1 more year to allow for the completion of the land development code.
Gotcha.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Turnberg?
Aye.
Kolpak? Aye. Pepcorn?
Aye.
Strand?
Yes.
Mahoney?
Aye. Item 25, bid award of the amount of $182,000 and agreement with KLG Engineering, Design Construction Planning Service, Police Department Headquarters. Moved by consent agenda. Mike Reilinger and Becky Majerus to explain. Or maybe just Becky.
Good evening, mayors and commissioners. Tonight, I'd like to present a brief history of the police headquarters building, just to put into context this project to renovate the HVAC system. In 1984, the current building, which is often referred to as the BSE building or the Border States building, was built. In February of 2017, the city began leasing the building from Red River Properties. And through 2018, they renovated the building for better space utilization and department function. In Q1 of 2023, we brought in consultants KLJ and MBN, and they completed a condition assessment for the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems. The major HVAC equipment is original to the building and was rated fair or poor throughout the entire assessment. Also, the electric heating design is very expensive with regard to utility costs. On December 31st of 2023, our lease expired and the agreement was extended month to month so that we could complete a building appraisal and negotiate a purchase agreement. On June 24th, 2024, the commission approved the purchase, and on November 20th, that sale was closed. So why did we buy? There's been discussion regarding the police department and how well that building fits, and possibly constructing a new headquarters. Even if this were approved today, it would still be 4 to 5 years before the department could actually vacate their current location. The city of Fargo continues to grow, and if and when the PD does move, the current facility's location, adjacent to Public Works and Central Garage, makes it an ideal site for future use by other city departments. The 2025 budget was approved, including funding to replace the antiquated HVAC equipment and the automated controls. So that brings us to today. KLJ, along with MBN and Foss Architecture, will be designing a more energy and cost-conscious solution. Compared to the existing 40-year-old chillers and air handlers in that building, today's models are much more energy efficient. Additionally, switching from electric heat to hot water heat will result in significant utility savings. This was proven in a smaller yet very similar project at the Public Works Administration Building, which is directly north of PD. The building was unoccupied prior to the project, but even after occupying the building and moving in, the utility bills reflect an average annual savings of 37%. So if we were to calculate a conservative 30% savings at the current PD headquarters, that would equate to over $26,000 just for the first half of this year. So this project is an investment in a city-owned asset, as well as an opportunity to reduce our annual operating costs.
Commissioner Turnberg, you have the questions about it?
No, I had some residents call with some confusion. Does the city own the police headquarter building, or are we leasing? But I just wanted to put that on the regular agenda so it was communicated to the public that they understand that the city does in fact own it, because the concern was, why are we putting so much money into a leased building? So thank you, Becky.
Yes,
Do you want to make a
absolutely.
motion then?
I shall move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Commissioner Colbeck, you have a mic on or no? No? Roll call vote?
Turnberg,
Aye.
Pepcorn,
Aye.
Colpack,
Aye.
Strand,
Yes.
Mahoney.
Aye. Item 31, memorandum of understanding with Shields All Sports and Fargo Police Department on the establishment and use of remote workstation within the Fargo Shields facility. Chief Sabowski to explain. This is a great effort by the police force to work with a business owner and come up with a great solution.
Yeah, thank you. A little background on this also. This January of '24, the commission approved our facilities management plan. The top priority that came out of that was the need for a functional south side substation. And in the attached document, you'll see the difference between a remote workstation, where we just basically file reports and it's a secure location for our folks to go, and a fully functional substation. So as that progress, or that process continued, we were also shortly thereafter in '24 lost access to the West Acres Fire Station, which was our closest to a south side remote work location that we had with that renovation there. And so since that time, our team has been trying to come up with another solution. It's been tough because to locate something that is secure for police use and filing the reports and taking breaks and using facilities has been difficult. We've worked with both area hospitals over the course of the last year, and at times we thought we had an agreement, and we didn't. So in December of '24, Shields approached us and offered up an area that they were going to be refurbishing, their store on 45th Street South, that they wanted to make available for our use, and they have done this in other communities in the United States. So I really appreciate their generosity and their partnership with local police to accomplish this. We've been working on it since December of '24, and they've also had to do some refurbishing and repurposing to make it available. This is a no-cost MOU. It's really just a use MOU, so there's parameters on the use of that facility. City attorney has reviewed it as well and has no issues with it. And I would respectfully request approval of the agreement so that we can make this available to our folks.
Commissioner Turnberg, you pulled this as well.
Well, I love free ideas, and I think that's wonderful, but it seems like we have preferential treatment of one business, which then breeds contempt and distrust. Have any other businesses, I mean, why wasn't this put to a public notice, and any business that wanted to donate space, time, allowed to do so.
Sure. We actually did vet several. We had other people that have offered things in the past. Our team looked at it, and we have to have something that's a secure location. This works out brilliantly because the way in which the building is set up, we have our own 24-hour access to a building that doesn't necessarily provide access to the retail piece. It's secure, and our folks can go there and at least do some work and stay as close as possible to their south side beats and keep them down in that area of town.
I mean, as soon as I got on the commission, I had business owners. I had the CEO of PetroServe USA just bleeding to have officers come fill up on gas. They'd give us the exact same rate as the city. He would feed officers for free, just come in, use the bathroom. They just wanted a presence. I just find it hard to believe that there weren't other businesses that would want the exact same. Plus, he was spending over $100,000 a year on private security. So it just
He
seems
actually
like
did.
this should have been more publicly open. I think it came to us a huge surprise, just coming on the agenda. And then, of course, now we have articles written about it, and it just seems like another thing that's kind of flying under the radar.
The owner you talked about did offer us a space, but that space didn't work for us, nor was it free rent afterwards. The availability of this and the free rent is one of the things that attracted us to this, and it's a site that's close to where we need to be. There's other issues about separate entranceway and separate areas like that. I don't know, Chief, you could have a public discussion. This is a time for public discussion, so. Are there other discussion? Do I have a motion?
I move to approve, sorry. I move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Mr. Strand?
What's the role of the downtown substation? Is it similar or?
It's
not?
a remote workstation also. It's not a true substation. It's called that, but it's really just a work location and remote work location. The officers can go there and file reports. It's a secure location for them. But again, if you look through the material, the difference between that and a functional substation, not only because of the geography of Fargo, but if something were to happen to our main headquarters, we don't have a secondary place to operate out of. So that's why that was deemed like a top priority from the report itself. And we'll continue to work with the commission and budget on trying to continue to fund that project before we end up in a crisis. So we're trying to plan ahead strategically and get that moving. In the interim, this was a big concern for our personnel, especially evenings and nights and things like that, for working those south side beats or those west end beats and having to traverse the city to use a secure bathroom, break room, do their reports. So, this isn't the ultimate answer, but it's a great intermediate step while we work on the larger project.
Mr. Strand?
Bear with me, then what's the role of the substation that was or is connected to public health?
That actually was consumed by public health.
So that's gone now?
Yep,
Right.
yes.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Kolpak? Aye. Strand?
Yes.
Pepcorn?
No.
Bernberg?
No.
Mahoney?
Aye.
Thank you.
Liaison Commissioner assignment, Commissioner Pipcorn. No update. Commissioner Turnberg.
No update.
Commissioner Mahoney, don't update at this time. Commissioner Kolpak.
Yeah, I have 2 slides, 2 updates. I think maybe you read about this first one this week. The Metro Fire Academy is, as we know, a collaboration of the 3 exceptional fire departments of Fargo, Moorhead, and West Fargo. And the chiefs from the 3 departments spoke to the Academy's newest recruits on Wednesday and shared their insights on what the recruits can expect as they begin their careers in the fire service. There are 10 recruits, and they're undergoing 18 weeks of intensive firefighter training, and this week they will be learning how to respond to cardiac and respiratory emergencies. Anyone interested can check out more information at fargofire.com. So good luck to the new recruits for their 18 weeks of intensive training. And then the next update I have is this weekend. I took part in an event hosted by the North Dakota Employer Service of the Guard and Reserve. There were 10 other employer representatives who participated in what's known as a boss flight. A National Guard pilot flew us in a Black Hawk helicopter to a site 10 miles outside of Lisbon, North Dakota, where we watched demonstrations of a sling load. That picture's not on here. And then also where we watched demonstrations and engineering maneuvers with a lot of equipment. The city of Fargo has many employees, in fact, more than 32 who serve in the National Guard reserves. So thank you very much to them. And I just want to add a couple comments that Fargo would not be Fargo without every employee who has decided to work for the city and its citizens. In my experience over the last 3 years, working with you, is that I've witnessed consummate professionalism as well as a real passion for working in public service. So for all who serve our residents and to those who have served, thank you. And those are my updates.
Mr. Strand.
Thank you, Mayor. I hope all of us tomorrow can attend the airport parking ramp ribbon cutting. This is something been coming a long, long time, 1,000 parking spot ramp at the airport, which will be transformative. And our commission's relationship with the airport authority was critical to the juncture of getting to the point where we've talked about it and ultimately to have it. So that's 2 or 2:30 tomorrow?
2 o'clock.
And I want to say we have significant leadership from nationally and locally at the state level appearing. I think you're speaking, Mayor?
Yes.
I hope you all have it on your agenda. If not, it's a big event for all of us, and go park your car in the ramp.
Very good. We have 4 resident comments. Brad Schaefer is first.
Yeah, I just wanted to, you guys had a pretty interesting couple of weeks here, and it's been a dumpster fire with one thing after another. I don't know where to start. So even listening here tonight, just more stuff comes up. You got a police station now that you guys don't hear about. There seems to be a lot of dysfunction going on with you guys, and it's just, your leadership is not happening. And I want to get into the police chief stuff. That's been everywhere, but you got your communication guys resigning. So anyway, I just want to ask you guys just a little better. And I've been in sales my whole career, and there's a book that Jim Collins wrote called Good to Great. And you guys the city's good. It's just a really good city to live in. I've lived in Denver. I've lived in Casper, Wyoming, Dallas. Been here for 20 years. And this is by far and away the best place I've ever lived. It's the cleanest city, crime percentage-wise, whatever you want to call that, for the city, size of the city is good. I've seen a lot of bad stuff in cities I've lived in. But it talks about, in the sales book I've read, it talks about good is the enemy of great. And you guys have a chance to be a great city here. You really do. But you're complacent with being good. And, I know some people at the jail, and this whole deal with the jail is just baffling. There seems to be if I understand it right, it's kind of confusing to read, but the whole holdup with the jail situation is, what do you do with the guns of the people you're arresting? I hope that's not the sticking point. Dadgummit, who's going to store the guns? Well, is that really an issue? Just don't let them have the guns. To me, it's pretty simple. All right, well, I just want to leave that with you guys. You guys can do better. I think the leadership can do better. June of 26 is going to be, 3 of you guys are going to be gone. Dave, you might hang around in another capacity.
Brandon Batty.
Hello, my name is Brandon Beatty. I am the Executive Director of the Indigenous Association in Fargo. I was one of the founding board members as well. I'm coming here today just as you guys are looking at the budgets and looking at the different things that you're going to put the resources of the city toward. I just wanted to come and tell you a little bit about what we do. We do receive some funding from the city of Fargo that was worked out through the Native American Commission, and then that money was put toward the Indigenous Association. The city's had a really close relationship with our organization, helping it get off the ground, and working with the Native American Commission to help make sure that the things that the city wants to do and the city finds valuable are done outside of the city. And I think it's been a cost-effective and really community-based way of doing some of achieving some of the goals of the city in a more community-based space. So since 2020, since the founding of our organization, we've been doing the Native American community picnics that we had one yesterday. We had probably about 200 people there I saw people from Fargo, West Fargo, Moorhead, Dilworth, White Earth, Assistant Wahpeton, like Native people from all over the region came together for this, and it's just a great time for our community to come together and build community. We've also been the host space for the Gladys Ray Awards and the Indigenous Peoples Day programming, which has been great. I've seen a lot of commissioners there. I've seen the mayor. You've been there several times. Our space in downtown Fargo is amazing. It's very well lit. It's very nice space to have big events like that in. So during that time, we've had community events, and we've had hosted well-variety meetings, workshops, cultural activities. We have maternal child health programming, youth programming, arts and cultural programming, collaborative programming with Native and non-Native organizations, and we've built relationships with local governments, local organizations, local leaders to really be a hub in our community for space and gathering. And so as as you're looking at the funding, I just want to let you know that we are here, and I invite any of you to reach out to me if you want to learn more. Yeah, hope to hear from you. Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon. Candy Smith?
Hello, I'm Candy Smith. I'm a registered nurse, international board certified lactation consultant, and I also work with Brandon at Indigenous Association as the maternal child lead. And I, too, want to just appreciate the support that Fargo gives the Indigenous Association for our programming. And I wanted to share with you all one of our newest projects that we've started, which is Milk Run Bridge Bags. And so what Milk Run Bridge Bags is we purchase donor breast milk from the Minnesota Milk Bank for babies. And so any milk that we purchase has been, the screeners who've donated, the donors that have donated their breast milk, they're screened to make sure that it's safe. And then the milk bank pasteurizes the milk. So it's the same milk that we provide to our families that are hospitalized in the neonatal intensive care units. And so my grandson, he was born down in the Minneapolis area, and it's pretty common for babies down there to have access to donor breast milk. And so we're really excited at the Indigenous Association because this is the first milk bank, or the first bridge bag program that has been available in the state of North Dakota. And so prior to our bridge bag program, when babies are discharged out of the hospital, they have limited access to breast milk if their moms aren't able to provide enough milk for them. So usually what they do is they turn to like sharing. So they'll just, nowadays it's actually common for moms to reach out to a mom that they don't even know on Facebook Marketplace and just ask for breast milk for their babies. And so we're really excited that we have an alternative option to that. Currently, the World Health Organization, the recommended food for our babies is breast milk, preferably mother's own milk, but our second choice is actually donor breast milk that is pasteurized from a milk bank. And then the third would be shared milk, and the last would be formula. And so, yeah, it's really exciting that we actually have this as an option for our families, because prior to this, we only had usually formula. And so, again, I appreciate the funding that you've provided to us, and we really encourage you to continue to invest in the Indigenous Association and the families that we serve.
Thank you, Candy. Christopher Cole?
Yes, Christopher Cohn, Fargo resident. And this is the first year that I've really taken a strong interest in the budget process. And this is a difficult year because we have a $6.8 million deficit that we're facing. And I wanted the public to know some basic facts about this, because I think there's been some misinformation from both the political parties in the state as well as some parts of the media. And that is that the city of Fargo has lost $1 million in federal grants, and also costs have gone up. Costs due to inflation, tariffs, and the increasing costs for medical benefits for staff that provide essential services. So I think we all like to get these city services, but when it comes to paying for them, we don't really want to pay for them. So, but then if we think that way, we have to decide which services do we want to lose. So I want to encourage all the Fargo residents to decide which ones do you want to lose, because there are going to be big cuts this year, and there's going to be increases in fees. I mean, for next year, 2026. So, public should be giving feedback to the city commission regarding that. What kind of fees do you not want to see, and what services do you not want to lose? Personally, I don't want to lose the $640,000 cut to public health. I don't want to lose the $240,000 cut to the libraries. I really value that. However, then I have to think about, okay, what do I want cut? And that's the hard part, because almost all the city services are essential. We have engineering, we have roads, we have infrastructure, we have water treatment, we have sewers. Almost all of it is really essential. There are certain things we can do for efficiencies and so forth. But there are these rising costs, and if we want to keep the services we have to actually pay more to pay for the rising costs. And the city's growing, so we need more services. So, now the city is capped. Okay, thank you.
That's all our resident comments. We are adjourned.